this weekend. I really hope my boss doesn't ask me to work. I'm just like, please don't.
Yeah, I have to work on Saturday.
Ugh, I hate it.
Yeah, there's been more work drama since I last told you about what was going on. So
Lovely.
yeah, so my goal now is to try and be out of there by the end of October.
I don't blame you at all.
Well, so the deal that they were originally going to give Adam, my supervisor, was that he was going to have a job through the end of the year plus a 3-month severance package, which his health insurance would be paid for.
Mm-hmm.
But he's going to our team president is out of town this week, and when he gets back, he's going to negotiate a reduced severance so that he can leave immediately.
Really?
Which I'm like, that's 3 months of money you're throwing away,
Yeah.
and you don't have to work
Yeah.
during those 3 months. But he's a little immature when it comes to that kind of stuff, and it also puts me in a bad position because we have events just about every weekend this month, and I'm going to have to work all of them because he said he's not going to do it.
That sucks. God. Oh man.
He'll call me over the weekend, just venting about everything, but then tells me he's not going to do anything.
I don't know.
So I I get him being upset, but at the same time, it's like you're being kind of a child.
Yeah. I get it.
So I've applied to quite a few video jobs. There's nothing really at the news station right now that I would want to do. So
Yeah, I
that's
tried
kind
to
of
get a
out right
job
now.
at the local news station. They were going to hire me. They needed a segment producer,
Mm-hmm.
and I had the job, but they were only going to pay me $9 an hour. Like, I'm not going
Like
to take less than more than half of what I'm making now. Are you nuts?
as the kids would say today, nah, brah.
And it was one of those, and it's not like a 9 to 5 job. It's like whenever they need me, like I have to be like on call for whenever news breaks.
Well, and I talked to Steve's boss about it. The only thing that's open right now is a news producer, but he said if you're looking for something that's like not as busy as what you currently do, don't do it.
Yeah.
Because he said it's pretty much a nonstop grind all the time. And I'm
Yeah.
like, I already deal with that now, so I ain't doing that again.
Yeah, no kidding. I
So
think you should maybe take out a little small business loan and go to start doing your own stuff. That's what I would do.
well, and that's kind of what I'm thinking about doing. The good thing with it being fall now is I'm on the call sheet or call list for like a sports broadcast company called Tupelo Honey.
Yeah.
They're actually hired by ESPN to go to different places and like set up their production truck and hire camera ops and things like that. So I did a basketball tournament back in March and I made like 3 grand
Whew,
off of it
nice.
just for running camera, and that's all I had to worry about.
That would be
So
cool.
I I'm also considering even just finding something that's like 9 to 5 or 8 to 4.
Yeah.
I don't know what I can do because I've never worked in any other field than the one that I'm currently in.
Yeah.
So
I don't know. Well, everywhere is hiring now, so you've
yeah,
got your pick of the litter wherever
yeah,
you want to go.
but it's not a good situation right now. Like our assistant box office manager got let go. His last day's Friday,
Mm.
and it's like I think literally everyone in the front office is looking for other jobs because then at that point it's like you don't know if you're going to walk in and they're going to fire you
God, they're like
or get rid
letting
of you.
go of the whole freaking staff, man.
I think honestly they want to just blow the whole thing up and start over. And what I think would happen with me if I did stay was that I would be around to help whoever it is that they're gonna, replace Adam with.
Yeah.
But then who's to say after next season that they wouldn't can me?
Well, I don't like working jobs where there's no job security, and my job, even though it's busy as hell right now and I'm hating my life, at least it's job security. So,
Yeah.
take it or leave it, you know.
The only my only counter that I might make, and this would be the only thing that would get me to stay, is if I transition out of my current job and I become like, because the Blue Wahoos are part of different companies that our owner owns. So
Yeah.
I would want to transition into being the video guy for the entire company. I wouldn't like my primary job wouldn't be working baseball.
Yeah.
So that would be the only thing that I could do. And I'm probably going to pitch that when our president gets back, but
Let's open a retro game shop.
yes, we'll open it in Mobile, so
Yeah, it's right in the middle.
yeah, right in the middle.
Already talked to Joey Image about that. Like, dude, I'm just gonna move to Jersey and let's just start a retro game store. Like, why not?
I'd love that.
That'd be so
fun.
awesome.
I could be your guys regular.
Yeah, dude, you'd have to move up there, and you could be like,
I'll be your guys Norm Peterson,
the evening manager.
Yeah. Let's see.
I got everything up, and all my levels are set. So
yep. Let me share this to Facebook real quick, and then I got all the tabs open. So
okay.
Let's see. Where's? By the way, I recorded a fantastic watch along for my show.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, me and my friend Thomas Rochester, he's a local actor. We're both Kevin Smith nuts, and we watched the original Clerks.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I still haven't heard the Loki season 1 episode 1 watch along yet.
I will preface that by saying it's not good because I did it on my own.
Wow, that's hard to do.
Yeah, like the first, I'd say like third of the episode is pretty good, but it kind of falls apart after that. So that's on me.
Well, I'm pretty much set up and ready to go. Let me know when you're ready.
Yeah, we can go ahead and start.
All right, here we go. 3, 2, 1. Programs, and welcome to another edition of the Nerd Cave Retro Show. My name is Jason Robbins.
And my name is Derek Diamond.
How have you been this week?
Well, I won't go into too many details, but there's been some stuff going on with my job, and that's all I'll say. But other than that, actually had a very great, relaxing weekend. But didn't work all day on Friday. I think I took a half day. The football game that I was supposed to work on Saturday wound up getting canceled because the team that was traveling in didn't have enough eligible players. So I got Saturday off, and
awesome.
It didn't do too much of anything. Just kind of decompressed. Just watched a few movies, relaxed, and it was nice.
See, that's what I need. I've had 3 days off this whole month. If I don't decompress soon, and then on my days off, there's just always like the whole day is just taken up with like going places and doing things. If I don't get a day off soon, there's gonna be hell to pay. Like it's gonna be bad. It's gonna be bad.
It sounded like an old school wrestling promo. There's gonna be hell to pay.
It's gonna be like WrestleMania up in here.
Exactly. Well, hopefully you get that soon. It sounds like you've been working my schedule.
Dude, it's been nuts, man. It's just it's this time of the year. Like I just
Yep.
don't get any time to myself, and I hate it. like
Yeah.
I haven't had time. I don't have time to do anything at this point.
No, I totally feel your pain there. I did want to throw this out there that I actually found out the other day. So, next weekend, Samantha and I are going to Orlando to go to Disney World for a
Awesome.
couple of days. So we're leaving Thursday morning, and that night we're going to a Harry Styles concert at the Amway Center. The the singer who's opening up for him is Jenny Lewis, who played Haley in The Wizard.
Really?
Yes.
Dude, you got to go backstage and get her to sign your DVD of The Wizard.
I was blown away because like Samantha was looking up who was going to be singing with him, and she was like, "Hey, don't you like a movie called The Wizard?" And I was like, "Yeah, why?" And then she showed me, and I saw her picture, and instantly I was like, "Holy crap, that's Haley!"
That's freaking awesome.
Yeah, I was like, "Small world.
Yeah.
That's insane."
If you haven't seen The Wizard, what are you doing with your life? Go. If you're watching this show, you should have seen The Wizard by now.
And if you haven't, go watch it and then go back in the archives and
Yes.
listen to it with our commentary.
Yeah, that was one of the first commentaries we did was for The Wizard.
Which is one of the few shows that we've actually done in person.
Yep, we did it sitting right next to each other on the couch,
Yeah.
watching that movie. That was awesome.
Yeah, no, that was fun.
Yeah. Well, we got a lot of news to get to tonight. You ready to get to it?
I cannot wait to talk about this first story.
This came from Forbes.com. Super Mario Brothers movie. Chris Pratt, Jack Black, Anya Taylor Joy lead star-studded cast. You ever wanted to hear Chris Pratt voice Nintendo's famous Italian plumber Mario? Nope. That's my own commentary right there. Seth Rogen as Donkey Kong? I'm okay with that. Or Jack Black as one of the most iconic video game villains of all time? That makes sense. Is he playing Wario or Waluigi? I think he's playing Wario, isn't he?
Oh, Jack Black?
Yes.
No, he's playing Bowser.
Oh, he's playing Bowser. That's right. I thought he was playing Wario. No, that makes sense to me. Let's see. The cast of the upcoming animated Super Mario Brothers movie is quite resplendent with popular talent. A star-studded cast. Chris Pratt, Anya Taylor-Joy, Seth Rogen, Jack Black are just a few. And let's see. Chris Pratt will be playing Mario. Charlie Day from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia will play Luigi. Anya Taylor-Joy will play the princess herself. And Keegan-Michael Key will play Toad. That's interesting. Jack Black, of course. Oh, here it is as Bowser. Kevin Michael Richardson will play Kamek. Sebastian Maniscalco, don't know who that is, will play Spike. And Seth Rogen as Donkey Kong and Fred Armisen as Cranky Kong. That sounds exciting. I was okay. Some of these I'm okay with, but I don't get the whole Chris Pratt as Mario. Like, why? Why Chris Pratt of all people?
So I have two thoughts on this. So I was very shocked at that one. The other ones, like I could even kind of picture Charlie Day. Like I didn't really have an issue with that. I don't have an issue really with any of these. The more I'm thinking about it, two things come to mind. So Shigeru Miyamoto has been very involved with the making of the movie. So I feel like if he has the faith in it, then I'm not as worried about it. And it's Mario. It's going to be comical. It's going to be silly. So I wrote this, I think it was Randy Bailey who tagged us on Twitter. And I said, let's just get weird with it.
Yeah.
Why? Honestly, why not? I mean,
but I mean,
I did.
You know, most of these I can see, but the Chris Pratt one is just head scratching. Like I don't know what he would bring to the table as Mario.
I will wait to hear his voice before I cast judgment on it. I admit it's a little odd. It doesn't say in this article, but Charles Martinet, who is actually the voice of Mario in the games, will have cameos throughout the movie in unspecified roles, but they I'm glad they're putting him in it. I'm not surprised that they didn't cast him as Mario because I knew they would go for a bigger name. But we'll see. It comes out holiday 2022, so we've got a while to wait.
Yeah.
I loved what Wally posted on Twitter, the meme of Squidward looking out the window, and it had SpongeBob and Patrick running around. It said Sonic fans when Idris Elba's cast as Knuckles.
Yeah.
And Squidward is Mario fans hearing Chris Pratt's the
Uh,
voice in the movie or something like that.
yeah,
I
we got Touch Biloxi in the chat room. He said the Mario movie casting is insane. Like, I don't think it's.
It really
I
is.
mean, it's insane, but I like the I like the way they say here. Seth Rogen, and in parentheses it says recent critic of the Emmys as his descriptor. Like everybody else gets, Fred Armisen, Portlandia, Kevin Michael Richardson, the distinctly deep voice. Like that's what he gets. The distinctly deep voice. Like who wrote this article?
I have no idea. Honestly, the one I like the most, I think, is Seth Rogen as Donkey Kong. Like I am very okay with that. Exactly.
I mean, yeah, I'm not gonna pass judgment. I don't either way if it's good or bad. That kind of left me head scratching with Chris Pratt as Mario. I'm like, I don't know until I hear it. Like, I don't know.
I wonder if they'll throw in characters like Wario and Waluigi.
I hope they do. I mean, I don't see why they would. Or maybe they're waiting to save Wario. Maybe Donkey Kong is like, maybe I don't know. I don't think Donkey Kong would be a bad guy in this universe. I mean, definitely Bowser's would be the big bad in the first movie, but maybe Wario and Waluigi show up in the second movie if there's going to be a sequel.
Maybe they'll do what the Sonic movie did when they introduced Tails. Maybe they'll do a mid-credit scene that introduced Wario and Waluigi.
Maybe.
You never know.
Yeah,
But I'm
and Touch Biloxi's talking about the Sonic movie. Hope Knuckles doesn't have the British accent. He's always loves his deep voice as a character trait. I kind of hope he keeps the Idris Elba keeps the British accent for Knuckles.
I hope so too. And I will say this right now, Knuckles is going to be a very popular character
Yeah,
as a result of that movie because he already has a cult following anyway. Once he was introduced back in the 90s, I think Idris Elba is going to do great with that role. And I think Knuckles quite possibly might be the standout character.
yeah.
I read a rumor a while back that he would get his own spinoff, and I was like, let's hold the brakes on any
Yeah.
spinoffs until we see how the sequel does.
I mean, let the sequel come and then maybe do, TV shows or something, like HBO Max or something, or,
Yeah, there's so many. I mean, they can make at least 4 or 5 sequels from the Sonic movie with just the storylines they could do with Knuckles, with Metal Sonic, with Death Egg. You got the more recent games from the Dreamcast. So there's a lot that they could do. Touch Biloxi, Mel Gibson for Wario. Yes.
yeah, I'm down for that.
I would totally be okay with that. I would probably geek out a little bit. That would be great. Let's see. Next up, we have from cnet.com. Nintendo 64 and Sega Genesis games are coming to the Nintendo Switch online service. Hallelujah! After a week in which rumors swirled about Nintendo bringing, depending on the report, Game Boy games, Game Boy Color, or N64 games, they finally announced that N64 games are coming at Thursday's Nintendo Direct because, of course, they would play a Direct the day after we do the show.
Of course.
Yep. They're also bringing Sega Genesis games, which will be added late October. You'll also be able to get a controller, a Sega Genesis and an N64 controller, if you prefer to play with those. On the N64, now I think both lineups for these systems are very good.
Yeah. Although with the Genesis one, I mean, I already have all these on the mini.
Yeah, if you don't have the mini, then you're good.
Yeah.
But some of the games, I won't list all of them, but on N64 we have Mario 64, Mario Kart, Star Fox, Zelda Ocarina of Time, Mario Tennis. It's not on here, but the big one is Banjo-Kazooie
Yeah, I heard about that.
because I mean, I think that could be hopefully the start of something. I mean, I I feel like they have to because it's one of the most iconic games from that system.
Yeah.
And I've said it ad nauseum. I think it's the perfect 3D platformer. I actually think it's a better game than Mario 64. Mario 64 is important because it laid the foundation,
Yeah.
but Banjo Kazooie built on that and in tenfold, in my opinion. But Sega Genesis, we've got Castlevania Bloodlines, Contra Hardcore, Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine, Echo the Dolphin, Shinobi 3, Sonic the Hedgehog 2, Phantasy Star 4, Streets of Rage, Strider, and quite a few more. So not a terrible lineup.
Hmm.
I will say that it gives me a reason to play Ocarina of Time again. So what do you think of the lineup and do you think that going N64 and Genesis was the right call?
Yeah, I think so. Because I don't think they're going to do an N64 Mini. I just don't think that's in the cards. I think it's a good idea, too, that they do the controllers like they're going to do. They're coming out with a Nintendo 64 controller for the Switch and a Genesis controller. But what I don't understand is why they're doing the Genesis 3 button controller instead of the 6. That was the later versions and the much better controller, in my opinion.
Yeah, I noticed that too, and that kind of had me scratching my head a little bit.
I don't know. Touch Biloxi. I'm not sure if Kirby and the Crystal Shards is on there. That it's not on the list. So, have you heard of Kirby and the Crystal Shards?
I have. Yeah, I've never played it, but I know of it.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't get into Kirby until recently. So all those Kirby games, I don't know any of them. But did you
Yeah,
see the tweet I did after this was released the other day? I retweeted this from the Nintendo account and I said, "Well, well, well, Sega. I guess Nintendo does."
yeah, I did see that. I was like, I see what you did there.
But isn't that weird though? I mean, go back to 1992 and say, "Hey, guess what? Sega stuff is going to be on Nintendo now."
I still remember when Sonic Adventure 2 was released or it was ported to the GameCube, and it was just so weird
Yeah.
playing a Sonic game on a Nintendo system. And then they did the Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games series. So they're both like physically together. It's just like this is weird. Like the 1992, like how old was I in 92? I was six,
Hmm.
6 or 7. It, he would have been like, no freaking way.
Yeah. And the Genesis part. I mean, if I didn't have a mini, this would be way more exciting to me. But I have all this stuff on the mini already, so that doesn't really do it for me. But they are going to raise the price of the Nintendo Online service. I don't think it's going to be much. It's probably going to be like $5, if that.
I think so. It's not much.
Yeah, it's
So
already only $20 a year. So if you can't bump up another $5, then what are you doing?
yeah, and I'm hopeful that there will be more. I mean, if they're smart, they'll add more games to NES, SNES, and N64 and Genesis around the holidays.
The
Maybe,
next story. Oh,
maybe
I'm
they'll
sorry.
put Earthbound out.
Yeah, well, that's actually I heard about that today. Might be in the works. That's kind of a rumor floating around the Nintendo sphere, so we might actually get it soon. For the next story, this is I think this is from Armez Jackson, our good buddy Armez Jackson, who sent this to us at our email address, nerdcaveretro@gmail.com. This is from Kotaku.com. Almost 500 new Xbox and Dreamcast prototypes just got released. Project Deluge, a video game archival project from the Hidden Palace, may be the single biggest game preservation effort yet undertaken. Since March, this dedicated group of video game archivists has been releasing many hundreds of unreleased prototypes for classic systems, and now is the Dreamcast and Xbox's turn. They publicly launched in March of 2021 as an archival project dedicated to documenting and uploading never-before-released game ROMs from the massive catalog of one extremely dedicated collector. This includes prototypes, early press copies, mid-localization builds, and perhaps most exciting, entire unreleased games. Let's see, did they have a list on here? They did have 135 Dreamcast prototypes. They had notable games from the Dreamcast dump include prototype builds of Ill Bleed and Tony Hawk Pro Skater, and a version of Sega GT with Luigi in it. That's kind of weird.
Yeah, it is weird.
Also, they have Soul Calibur, Crazy Taxi, Legacy of Kain, Soul Weaver, Time Stalkers, and the project's Xbox ROM release is much larger, includes 349 games, none of which were made before whatever, that's a typo. Let's see. A handful of examples. It doesn't really give any examples of the Xbox ones, but there's an earliest known Psychonauts preview build and a Jet Set Radio Future prototype. So that's kind of cool. I don't know if you ever played those for the original Xbox.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember Jet Grind Radio, Soul Calibur, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater. I will say this, looking at the graphic that's at the top of the article, just seeing that old Xbox controller makes me angry. I hated that controller. But this is cool, though. I mean, I feel like this is happening more and more frequently, finding whether it's old games that have been stashed away for 20-something years or prototypes or even new games.
How do they have 349 games that were never released? That's a lot of games that got canceled.
That's freaking nuts.
It's
that's
crazy.
More than some systems even have games, period.
I know. I think that's actually more than the N64 library.
If not, it's got to be close.
It's pretty close.
It's insane. It's really cool, though. Let's see. Our next story comes to us from NintendoLife.com. It's a review of the ActRaiser Renaissance, which is the remaster, right?
Yeah, it's a remaster of the original ActRaiser that was released. It was actually a launch title for the Super Nintendo. I did do a playthrough and a review of it a while back. And this is a really fun game. It's a mix of not only like a side scroller kind of action RPG, but it's also like a city city builder, and kind of like this whole god aspect of it, where you're like trying to get these people to believe in you, because the more they believe in you, the better the higher power you get throughout the game. And of course, you got like 6 continents you have to take care of, and apparently you can actually go through ActRaiser pretty quick, maybe just a couple of hours. But from what I hear, this version of it is way longer, like around 18 hours to finish this game.
Oh, wow. The graphics look great. They did a really good job with how the game looks. And I remember when you reviewed this game, it was not at all what I thought it would be. I saw screen caps and a very little gameplay. I knew of the game, but didn't know that much about it. So hearing you talk about it, you really kind of piqued my curiosity, because I was like, I thought this was something way different.
Yeah, it said the meaningful changes implemented in this version pale in comparison to the overhaul that Sonic Powered has engineered in the strategy portion of the game. While the core mechanics are the same as they were back in 1990, you still rely heavily on miracles like lightning and sunshine to change the terrain and make it habitable for your people. For example, the scope of these segments has been expanded dramatically so that each region offers at least 2 hours of gameplay, which is a massive step up from the SNES version. Like I said, you could do those sections of the game, in roughly 20-30 minutes or so to like build your, take care of your villages and build them up and everything, which I found to be kind of the fun part of that game, and what I wish, it sounds like they've really beefed it up for this, but what I really was wanting from that game was a way beefier kind of sim, almost Sid Meier's Civilization style, kind of building up your cities and stuff, but I think it just might be too much. It was definitely a challenge at the time. Nothing like that had ever been done before, where you had two different game types. Like you had the side-scrolling, 2D action RPG, but then you had that big sim, overhead sim builder thing where you had to, build up the cities and everything, and it kind of was a jack of all trades but master of none. And I wish that, I hope that with this version that they really beef those parts of the games up, because that's what I found interesting about the game.
Well, it says here to do like a summary of the review. It says the updated graphical style and jerky scrolling doesn't make a great first impression, and there may be some who feel the tower defense sections are given too much screen time. It's ultimately a successful attempt at updating a solid gold classic from yesteryear. Rarely are two totally different gameplay styles fused this effectively, and the enhancements introduced by developer Sonic Powered really do improve things. Combat in the action sections is more fun, while the God Sim portions of the game are lent increased depth thanks to the thoughtful gameplay upgrades. They gave it an 8 out of 10.
Yeah.
So I think that's pretty good.
And, the original soundtrack was fantastic. Do you remember when I played you a part of the soundtrack that sounded almost like Star Wars? It had a very Star Wars kind of, it was very reminiscent of Star Wars. Well, they have a new, they arranged it for the new game with like an actual orchestra, but you can play that or you could play the original SNES soundtrack with the game, which is awesome because that soundtrack is great.
Yeah, I love that they have that option too.
And this is definitely going to be a pickup for me after I play Metroid Dread. This is just a little too close to Metroid Dread for me to want to jump into this. But I'm definitely going to get this when I'm done with Metroid Dread because I'm very interested to see what an updated version of ActRaiser is. Because that's the one thing I wanted when I was playing the game. I was like, this is a great game. I just wish it was updated.
Yeah, for sure.
This next story comes from I Am the Rampage, who sent this to us in our email. This is from comicbook.com. Metroid Prime 1 Remaster reportedly releasing next year. A reliable Nintendo insider has indicated that a remaster of the original Metroid Prime may release at some point in 2022 on the Switch, although rumors and reports have been swirling for years at this point when it comes to a remastered collection. It now sounds as though Nintendo might just opt to bring back the first entry in this series for the time being. Let's see, the new report regarding a remaster comes by way of one Emily Rogers, who has had reliable information when it comes to Nintendo in the past. Recently on social media, she said that she has previously heard that Nintendo is currently planning to remaster the first Metroid Prime game and release it on Switch in 2022 as a way of celebrating the game's 20th anniversary. She went on to say that there's also a possibility that the full trilogy does end up coming to Switch next year, but based on what she's heard, she thinks a lone remaster of Metroid Prime is on its way. I'm okay with that. Even with just the first one, I'm down. I want a remaster of that game so bad.
Well, and it's, to me, the best of that trilogy. And the sequels weren't bad.
Yeah.
But there's just something about that original Metroid Prime. And speaking of that, to coincide with the release of Metroid Dread, I'm going to be reviewing Metroid Prime next week.
Awesome. I'm ready for that.
Yeah, I started playing it, and I'm having so much fun with it, so I can't wait to talk about it.
But what this also tells me, too, is that they're still not ready for Metroid Prime 4 in 2022, so it looks like they're doing this as a filler in between Dread and Metroid Prime 4, so what better way than to re-release the remasters of 1 through 3 in 2022 and then hit us in spring of 2023 with Metroid Prime 4.
I like that time frame.
Yeah.
That's
so if you're a
stuff.
Metroid fan, I think we're going to be happy over the next year year and 2 years, I think.
I think so too.
At least I hope so. I'm just ready for Metroid. That's all. Like, soon as Dread hits, you're not gonna hear from me for like a week. May take a week off from the show. Like, can't do the show. I'm playing.
Or do the show while you're playing.
Yeah, we could do that.
That'd be interesting to see.
Before we go into our review for tonight, Derek has shout-outs.
Yes, as always, we'd like to shout out our awesome patrons over at patreon.com/nerdcaveretro. We want to shout out AxeBlade07, Daniel Salmon, John Jekyll, a.k.a. Mixmaster, Hand Solo, Carlos Longoria, Staff Sergeant Sketch, Tyler Watson, Brandon Rutledge, Gus and Penny, Matthew Salmon, Randy Bailey, Joey Image, and Ron Johnson. Thank you all so much for your continued support, and because you have kept us at the $50 level, we continue to do fun commentary tracks that you vote on, much like Clue.
That Derek won 2 months in a row now.
I won so much that we're doing something different next month. But no, Clue was a lot of fun to go back and watch, and to talk about it with you guys while watching it was a lot of fun to do. So that's up on the Patreon feed right now.
It's a lot of us just laughing because we all three love that movie.
Pretty much anytime Tim Curry pops on screen, we start laughing. He's just that funny. But no, that's up on the Patreon feed, and if you want to be a part of our awesome community, just head over to patreon.com/nerdcaveretro. And for new patrons, if you want to just send us your social media info, whether it's Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, so we can give you a proper shout out.
Awesome. And tonight I am talking about Double Dragon is a beat-em-up video game series initially developed by Technos Japan and released as an arcade game in 1987. The series features twin martial artists Billy and Jimmy Lee, or in the Nintendo version, Bimmy and Jimmy Lee, as they fight against various adversaries and rivals. Due to the popularity of the game series, a 1993 animated series and a 1994 live-action film adaptation were produced. Those were widely panned by critics, audiences, and a commentary track by Nerd Cave Retro, which I just threw that in there. So, yeah, we did a commentary track of that movie. Not good, but fun watch. I didn't know what I was going to do this week after last week's show. I was like, man, I want to go back and do something old. So, broke out the Switch, the NES Online on the Switch, and was looking through there. I was like, I think I might do Scat. So I started playing that for a little bit. Not really my style of game. It's like a on-rails kind of side-scrolling shooter, which I wasn't really expecting. I was like, this ain't really my style of game. So I was looking through there, and I saw Double Dragon 2. And I was like, I was like, I really like Double Dragon 2. Maybe I should do that. So I looked back through our archives, and to my dismay, and I'm so ashamed of myself that I have not reviewed Double Dragon for the NES. How that slipped by me, I don't know.
I was shocked when you told me that, because honestly, I just assumed that it was something we did within the first 6 months of the show.
I know.
When you told me, I was like, wait a minute. I'm like, no, I could have swore you did, and then I looked back in the archives, and I was like, holy crap, it's not there.
Yeah. It's not there. I searched everywhere just to make sure. No Double Dragon to be found except for Battletoads and Double Dragon that I reviewed for the SNES. How Double Dragon has slipped beyond my grasp was so weird to me, because this is one of the quintessential NES games. Like, how did I not do this game before? So I started playing it on the Switch. Of course, I still have my original copy that I got as a kid for the Nintendo, but I was playing it on the Switch. I'm not a big fan of where the button placements are they put on the Nintendo Switch. Like, it's not in the normal spots where you would think they would be. I need to go and switch that around. I don't know. They do weird stuff like that sometimes.
Yeah, I don't get that.
See, the original arcade game was released in 1987, and the game engine was based off of an earlier fighting game called Renegade. And then Double Dragon came out, and everybody forgot about Renegade because the arcade version of Double Dragon is just fantastic. Like, I think it's actually on the arcade archives on the Switch. I think you can get the actual arcade version. Yes, Touch Biloxi, River City Ransom is the best side-scrolling NES fighter of all time, but we're not talking about River City Ransom. River City Ransom came after Double Dragon. River City Ransom is basically the guys who like they played Double Dragon. It was like, okay, we can make this better, and then they made River City Ransom. But yeah, it was ported to the NES in 1988, followed by a Game Boy version in 1990. And actually, this is one of my very first memories. Like, ever have a memory that's so vivid for a certain thing in your childhood? Like, it's a weird memory because I remember my grandmother took me somewhere, like to this party somewhere. I guess it must have been a family party or something. You ever have those cousins in your life that you only see like once and then you never see again, or you see them occasionally at like Thanksgiving or something, like very distant relatives?
Yeah.
Anyway, we go to this party and there's these kids there, and they're in this kid's room, and he's got a Nintendo. So they introduced me to these kids, and we proceeded to play Double Dragon on the Nintendo for hours while this, adult party is going on, barbecue or whatever. And I just remember sitting in this kid's room. I remember everything about his room. I remember the TV playing Double Dragon. Just like I remember this, but everything else about that memory is just I don't have any recollection of it. Like, I don't remember what this house looked like, where we were, but this kid's room playing Double Dragon is like seared in my brain. And that's why then Double Dragon was new when this happened. Like, it was like the fresh Nintendo game that everybody was playing, everybody had to have. So when I got my Nintendo in 1988, May of 1988 for my birthday, that Christmas, my grandparents got me Double Dragon for the NES, and I was a happy boy when I got Double Dragon. I still have it to this day, that copy of Double Dragon. Now, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna say it's funny you say that because I have a similar memory, and I won't get too detailed into it because it's kind of off subject, but my memory with playing The Legend of Zelda is very similar, whereas like it's just so vivid in my mind. So I get what you're saying.
But yeah, and the thing about this Double Dragon, the NES version, it was so good when I was a kid. Like, I loved playing this game. Now, keep in mind, I have not beaten this game ever in my life. And I was actually thinking the other night, in the past few years, I've beaten all the games that I can never beat as a kid. I beat Castlevania, beat Ninja Gaiden, like all these games that I've beaten in the last few years. I think I'm going to try to beat Double Dragon. It's going to be rough, but I think I can do it. And I was playing it the other night, and I can only get to like mission 3. Like, man, this game is hard. And it's cool because when you're playing the game, of course the arcade version is always going to be better, but I love the NES version of this game. As you go through the game, you start off, you can work yourself up to, like, you have a point system in the game. You go through and defeat, your minions, and you get to your bosses and things like that. And the higher your score gets, the more hearts you get, and the more hearts you get, you get special moves. Like when you get your second heart, you can grab somebody's hair and kick them with your knee, and you get up to the fourth heart. You can do jumping side kicks, which come in very handy for when you have to fight a Bobo who is like 3 times your size and takes like 1,000,000 hits to take him down. That's one of my kind of hang-ups with this game is some of the enemies take a little too many punches to take down. Like, I wish that they would have given you different game modes to play, like easy, normal, and hard. Like, I would definitely play this game on easy because some of the enemies take way too many hits to try and kill. Especially a Bobo. That big bastard takes like 1,000 hits to take him down.
That sounds obnoxious.
Yeah, but it's a fun game though, and
Yeah.
but I like the NES version. Like people now kind of poo-poo it and don't and talk bad about it. Like I get it. It's not a great side-scrolling beat 'em up. Like Touch Biloxi said, yes, River City Ransom is a much better side-scrolling beat 'em up for the NES. They got better with it when Double Dragon 2. Double Dragon 2 is a much better game than Double Dragon 1. But there's just something about that original Double Dragon game, even with the typos like Bimmy and Jimmy. Like there was a bit of what they call English going on back then, where they just had a hard time, translating some of that kanji to English, and especially in Castlevania 2, which why that game was so hard because they couldn't fit like what was supposed to be said in English in those little boxes. So that's why the clues weren't that great in the game. But with Double Dragon, it's a good two-player game too, which I played two-player a lot when I was a kid. This was one of those games that if I did a sleepover somewhere, it was a game that if they didn't have it, I brought it with me. Or, I would have friends come over and stay the night or stay the weekend. This is the game we would play because this was a two-player beat-em-up. You couldn't get any better than that. Two-player beat-em-up on the Nintendo. One of the first games to really do that and do a good job with it. Even though this game the controls are kind of sloppy, which makes it harder than it needs to be. But I can forgive it because, I don't know, I guess it must just be the nostalgia talking, but I like this game a lot, even though it does have its problems. But they did perfect it by the time they got to Double Dragon 2.
Well, I also think you kind of alluded to it when you first started your review. It is one of those staples in Nintendo that when you think of the early days of the NES,
Yeah.
Double Dragon is one of those games that, yeah, does it have its flaws, but I mean, all of them do. Like Mario Brothers is far from a perfect game.
Yeah.
Legend of Zelda isn't perfect. Metroid's not perfect. So there's all those games had their flaws, but they were all important to the launch point of Nintendo, and I would throw Double Dragon in that same category.
Yeah. And all the different, the different enemies that you come across, like you're going up against the Black Warrior gang, and they beat up your girlfriend basically at the beginning of the game. For some reason, you've locked your girlfriend's outside of your garage or whatever you're doing. They walk up, punch her in the stomach, and take her off, and off to the races. You're going after your girlfriend, Taken style. And you're going through New York City, and you're going up against. I really don't know the names of these, so I'm trying to look them up. Of course, there's a Bobo. Everybody knows who a Bobo is. He's the giant, bald-headed guy that is kind of your mini boss. You have thugs Williams and Roper. There's a dominatrix named Linda. Let's see, Chin Tamei. He's the purple guy with the purple hair and the purple pants. He's a pretty good. He's the boss of level 1. So you got a lot of variety in your different people that you're going up against in the game. It's not like you're going up against the same enemy over and over again. And like I said, some enemies take 2 or 3 hits to take down, but then you come across somebody like a Bobo or Chin, and they take like 20 hits to take down. It's like, come on, guys, like give me a cheat code here or something.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember the last time I even played Double Dragon. It's been a bit. Like I might have played it once or twice on the NES, but I still recognize its place in video game history.
Touch Biloxi says, Dama what now? Yeah, she's a dominatrix. She comes out, she has a whip, and you punch her in the face, and you take the whip from her, and then you've got a whip that'll take people down for the next few minutes.
Yeah, I was going to throw that out there too. That's what better name for a dominatrix character than Linda?
This game is it's got its flaws, definitely, but like you said, it's one of those games that if you're a Nintendo collector, it has to be in your collection because
Yes.
when when you say Nintendo, this is one of the first games that really pops in my head. You know, you've got Castlevania, Zelda, Super Mario Brothers, Double Dragon. It was one of those games that it was so freaking huge when it came out. And if you weren't alive at the time, I don't think you can understand the weight that Double Dragon had. Like if you had a Nintendo in 1988, 89, you had to have Double Dragon. Like that was the game you asked for Christmas or your birthday or whatever. Like you just begged for that game because everybody had it. Everybody loved playing it. And yeah, it's a little rough around the edges, but it's a fun game to play even though it's really frustrating. But it's that Nintendo, it's Nintendo as hell. Like this game is just it's Nintendo. It's the NES. It's what we were doing at the time.
It has that Nintendo magic.
Yeah, it's not a perfect game. You know, they really started to perfect that. It's an early side-scrolling beat 'em up. It's one of the very early side-scrolling beat 'em ups that, you know, by the time we got to Streets of Rage and Final Fight, we had perfected it by that time. Plus, you had stronger hardware. You know, you had the Super Nintendo, you had the Sega Genesis that you could have these big sprites on the screen and you could have all these different enemies without having the slowdown. And that's a lot of people's problem with Double Dragon is you start to get a lot of enemies on the screen. It suffers from a lot of slowdown, like huge slowdown in the game because the chip in the NES just kind of can't handle that many enemies on the screen at the same time. You can't fault it. And we really wish they would have done a remake for the Super Nintendo, like actually do a port of the arcade game to the Super Nintendo. They could have done that, but they didn't. And I'm not really sure why. Especially when they had, Final Fight. Final Fight was a launch title for the Super Nintendo. I think if they would have put out, maybe not it probably shouldn't have been a launch title, but if they would have put out Double Dragon, the arcade version on the Super Nintendo, it would have been huge. I guarantee it.
Oh, I agree. I definitely agree.
But yeah, it definitely has its place in the legend that is the NES. Like it's not one of the best games. It's not one of the worst games, but it's definitely one of those games that, and if you're gonna have a definitive Nintendo collection, this has to be in that collection because this was such an important game in the side-scrolling beat 'em up genre. Yes, it was very early. The controls are clunky. It takes way too many hits to take down enemies. But if we didn't have Double Dragon, we wouldn't have gone on to things like Streets of Rage and Final Fight and all those side-scrolling beat 'em ups that are just legendary. This game kind of started it that genre, even though it was kind of based off another game. Like I said, it was based off the Renegade engine, but it kind of did better than Renegade. But Double Dragon was that game that came along and said, "This is gonna be the new thing. Like we're gonna do beat 'em ups from now on."
It took that genre to the next level.
Exactly.
That it needed to go to.
Yeah, because before that, it was a lot of. There were your fighting games. You had games like Kung Fu, which was a early kind of side. I guess you call Kung Fu a side scroller, but then you take that and then you make it better with Double Dragon, which is still rough around the edges, but then it just kind of kept growing from there. So it's a very important game for the NES. I think you should definitely have it in your collection, and I don't really want to give it a score because, like I said, I've never beaten it for the NES. But just for what it is and the importance that it had and the nostalgia for it, I still think it's one of the most badass, cover arts for a Nintendo game. That big red cover with the two two brothers' arm, muscles and kung fu and, and weapons. Like, it just, when you're 10 years old, that's everything. So I got to give it a solid 7. Like, it's not great. It's not bad. It's kind of right in the pocket there.
I think 7's right. I agree with that.
But yeah, I think you should definitely go back and play it on the NES Online. I would definitely suggest rerouting the buttons to make it a little more comfortable to play.
Yeah.
But yeah, I still like playing this for my original Nintendo, and this might be the next game I'm going to try to beat. So if you like to watch me badly play 8-bit games on Twitch, I might be doing that soon to try and actually beat this game. And I looked it up. There's no cheat codes for this game. There's glitches. There's no cheat codes for this game. So it's like, it's all or nothing.
This could be your next white whale.
I hope so. I think I can do it, though.
Yeah, I have all the faith.
Definitely going to have some Nintendo thumb. I toughened up my thumb with Agalos, a couple weeks ago.
Yes.
And I got my new controller, my new left controller for the Switch, because my left thumbstick was starting to drift and my buttons were starting to not get kind of sticky too. So I ordered this the left Switch controller, which was a Zelda themed controller. You can't use it. It's not Bluetooth enabled. You can only use it in handheld mode, but it actually has a D-pad on it, like the original NES pad. So started playing it yesterday. I was like, oh, it feels so good to play an actual D-pad on here. I highly recommend it if you want to get one of those.
I need to, because my joystick is starting to drift really badly. So,
and it's only $25 on Amazon. So if you type in left Joy-Con for the Switch Zelda themed, it should be the first thing that pops up.
Yeah, because I started playing Skyward Sword again, and I'm in I believe it's the Earth Temple. And as soon as I stop moving and I take my thumb off the joystick, Link just.
Yep, that's what happens to mine. Like I would be in the home screen for the Switch, and it would just cycle through everything real quick. I'm like, stop. So yep, time for a new controller.
Yep, it's on my list.
But yeah, that's Double Dragon, and I'm probably gonna review Double Dragon 2, maybe November, December, somewhere around there. Coming up this next month, it's Halloween. It's spooky game time, so I'm going to review a new game I got for the Switch, but I don't remember the name. It's a Halloween-themed game. It's an 8-bit inspired, looks just like an NES game. It kind of plays like River City Ransom. I played a little bit of it, and I'm going to review that for my next review.
Nice. Looking forward to it. I've got to figure out what I'm going to review for a spooky game after I do Metroid Prime.
I am going to do some Castlevania runs this month, since I know how to beat it now. I'm going to stream some runs of Castlevania and see how fast I can actually beat it. And hopefully the next time they do a Castlevania speedrun contest, I'll be able to actually defeat Dracula this time.
Maybe so.
So cool. What'd you say you were going to review next week again?
Metroid Prime.
Oh, yeah, Metroid Prime. Awesome. It's Metroid month, everybody.
Yep.
So let's go ahead and start wrapping this up. What you got on the docket for the Derek Diamond experience?
Yeah, so for this week, I list my top 5 90s Nickelodeon cartoons, as well as those who submitted their lists.
I had one.
Yeah, 1 through 5, so yours was very easy.
Yeah.
I also interview writer and script consultant Howard Kasner, which also, so my show will be out Thursday. On Friday, I appear on his podcast called the Pop Art Podcast, which has a pretty cool concept to it. So his guests pick a mainstream / pop culture film to talk about, and then he picks one that's on more of the independent, artistic side, but has a similar theme and story to it. So I picked The Empire Strikes Back.
Awesome.
And he picked the Battle of Algiers, which is an Italian film, and also influenced a lot of modern filmmakers, including Christopher Nolan. So it's actually a very good movie. It's on, I believe, HBO Max, if you have that. So we talk about both those movies and the similarities between the two. So that'll be out, I believe, on Friday. So just search Pop Art Podcast with Howard Kasner, and you'll get to hear me rant about Star Wars.
Awesome. For open micers, last week we talked to Thomas McCormick, who is one half of the Rushmore podcast. So if you want to go check that out. And we just earlier tonight talked to comedian Jeremy Lambert, and that will be out on Friday. So if you want to go check out the Open Micers podcast, it's at Open Micers on Twitter, Instagram, and Open Micers podcast on Facebook. And Derek, I think we're about done here tonight. What do you say?
I think we're good.
If you would like to email us, you can email us at nerdcaveretro@gmail.com. We are on Facebook at facebook.com/nerdcaveretro. We're on Instagram and Twitter at nerdcaveretro, and individually at jfunktastic and at Derek_Diamond. Go pick up some merch at ncrmerch.com. There's been sales going on all month long, and I think there's going to be sales coming up all this next month. So you can go get all kind of cool stuff over there. Computer bags, face masks, shirts, whatever you need. Go check it out, ncrmerch.com. And if you'd like to give us some money every month, patreon.com/nerdcaveretro. If you keep us above that $50 level, we will keep doing the commentary tracks every single month, like the one we did for this month, which was the movie Clue. And if you can't do that, can't support us monetarily, leave us a review wherever fine podcasts are sold. So Derek, please tell them what it's all about.
May the way of the hero lead to the Triforce.
Yes.
Oh, a fellow checker, eh?
Awesome. That was a fun episode.
Yeah.
Thanks
Good
for hanging
stuff.
out, Mark, a.k.a. Touch Biloxi. Thank you for hanging out in the chat room tonight.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, Kung Fu was terrible and still is terrible, but it's still fun to go back and play. It's actually not that bad of a game just to go back and know it's bad, so you're going to play a bad game, and it's actually worth it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm going to go ahead and end the stream. So thank you, everybody, for hanging out. And like I said, I'm going to try this weekend to do some streaming. So I may do some Castlevania. And I also have the new Halloween game, which I can't remember the name of it. I wish I had my Switch right here. But I got it on sale on the Switch store. And it's really fun. It's like River City Ransom, but it's Halloween themed. So you're beating up like zombies and stuff. It's pretty awesome. So I might do that this weekend, stream some of that. And thank you guys for hanging out. We will see you next Wednesday.